favorite part of the weekend for me was actually probably Wednesday night. And that was because Bill put that meeting together and to see so many of our volunteers come together. I mean, I'm sitting there at the meeting. We probably had 30, 35 there at that meeting. And I'm looking just over to my right, and Phil and Rhea are there. And they got saved last year as a result of our Easter service. And so here they are jumping in, serving. Hey, Castleview, great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the Castleview Baptist Church podcast. And we just had a big weekend. And so I brought the guys in this morning, and we want to talk about Easter weekend, give a little bit of a recap, and just talk through a couple of the events. Johnny, thanks for being here this morning. Christian, good to see you this morning as well. And what'd we think? Favorite part of the weekend? What stood out to you?
Johnny, go.
Man. The whole week was awesome, but even like leading up to it, obviously all the work going into, but getting just people together, getting ready, having the meetings that are needing to be done, and then just to see it all go off relatively smooth.
Yeah.
There's a couple things I can think of, but overall just an awesome weekend.
Yeah.
As far as specifics, though, it's a difficult one.
Favorite part of the weekend for me was actually probably Wednesday night, and that was because Bill put that meeting together and to see so many of our volunteers come together. I mean, I'm sitting there at the meeting. We probably had 30, 35 there at that meeting. And I'm looking just over to my right, and Phil and Rhea are there. And they got saved last year as a result of our Easter service. And so here they are jumping in, serving. Sunday morning, they're out front with the donuts and coffee and just totally owned that space, and just help people come in and feel comfortable and all of that. So so that was great. Christian, what was your favorite part of the weekend?
Mine's always once we just get up there and sing.
Mm-hmm.
After all the work the choir puts in, worship team and everything. And then seeing a full room of people just enjoying the work you put in. Not that it's about you, but you put a lot into it, and seeing them worship with it and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's always the favorite part of events for me.
Yeah. A little bit different this year. We had the music with the video integrated together. How'd you feel like that went?
I think it was good. Yeah, I think it went really well. It was different. Definitely not like the big time production we have done in the past or would normally do. This whole service, I think itself was only an hour, which is like amazing for us. Like seriously, but like honestly, our music and video is normally 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's a longer service, and so it was very direct, but I think it was very powerful. And the songs, it was unique. We hadn't done something like that before, I don't think. So
yeah,
it was unique.
Usually we've done the little bit more of a film. You got the three parts of it, and I enjoy that too. It's nice to change things up a little bit sometimes. Yeah. You can get in a little bit of a rut if you're not careful with it. We talked about Peter Sunday morning. We talked about how Jesus can transform us, right? I mean, we talked about his past. He's buried his past. He transformed his present, and he rewrote his purpose. If you had to guess, maybe for yourself or maybe people that were there, was there a point that resonates with you on that? Okay, that's as you sit there and you think about the resurrection story and you think about, okay, this is what Jesus did. It is finished. All of it's done. Jesus paid the price for my sin. I think there's some people there probably that might have been the resonating thing, that, wow, everything that I've done, Jesus paid for. Or maybe there were some people there that what, my future, I've been kind of hopeless, and I'm looking for God to do something. What do you think would resonate, whether it's with you or with somebody else? What do you think people got as they were leaving there that day from our Easter service?
I think it was that message specific, and I love that story of Peter. You see Peter struggling with guilt. And I mean, for the average Christian, I'm sure they struggle at some point in time with something that they're feeling guilty over, as far as feeling as a worthy enough Christian to serve. But then you just see Christ's response. If you love me, feed my sheep, go out and serve, go out and do what I've told you to do. Mm-hmm. And so I love that portion of the story, because it really helps. I feel like the Christian who is struggling, maybe with something from their past. Hey, Christ still loves you, and in that love, He just wants you to obey. He wants you to go out and serve. And so it's a beautiful story, and I love that story of Peter.
Yeah, yeah. I think it gives us all hope, right? And it was interesting too. We didn't get into this in it, but right after, Peter is hey, feed my sheep, feed my lambs. Then he sees John, and he says, "What about him? What's he going to do?" And Jesus says, "Hey, that's none of your business. Don't worry about your own story."
Right.
And it just reminds me that God has something different and unique for all of us. You don't have to be this part of the body or have that opportunity or do this thing. We've all got this unique story that God is trying to write in our lives. Christian, what part do you think would have resonated?
Yeah, I think if you don't have hope, then you're not going to accomplish much in life. Everybody relies on hope. There's hope of something in the future, hope of success, hope of joy in the future or something like that. And so to me, death represents the end, right?
Yeah.
And Jesus rising from the grave is the ultimate picture of hope for us. That no, you don't have to stay in that sin. You have hope for your future, and so much more beyond that. You have hope for eternity, that you get to be with Jesus forever now. And I think if you don't have hope, then it's hard to get moving in a direction. And so a lot of people probably left. You know what? There is hope for me.
Yeah.
Even if I might not be feeling it right now, because of Jesus.
Yeah.
He's conquered it all. So.
Hope's an amazing thing. I remember seeing a experiment that a university did, and they had put 2 rats in water where they're going to drown, right? I mean, they can't get to the side, and one of them, I don't remember the exact numbers, but one of them drowned within 37 minutes or something like that. I mean, it was was able to tread water about 37 minutes. The other one, it was close to drowning. Maybe they went 30 minutes with it or whatever, and then they lifted it up and they got it out of the water for just a minute or so. They put it back in. And it was interesting when they would do this study, the ones that they had helped for just a few minutes, when they rescued them, I mean, they went hours and hours and hours and hours. I want to say it was almost like a day, where they, and their research was, they had a little bit of hope, that somebody is going to take care. I'm going to be able to get out of this at some point. And so I do think that resonates with people that, hey, there's hope, right? Jesus buries my past, but he gives me transformation for the future.
Well, and I think, I can't remember what verse it is, but the Bible talks about hope anchors the soul. Like you can be unmovable in what God's called you to do.
Yeah.
Because you have hope, right?
Yeah.
It makes you firm in your belief. It makes you firm in your future.
Yeah, that's right. So what else? What other favorite things? I've got one on the tip of my tongue that has not been mentioned yet.
Good. Hey, listen, Jeff Noakes made the people who served that day in the green room. He made them. Did you get to eat some of this?
I didn't. I saw it, but I didn't go in.
It's a Mexican burrito breakfast thing. It was incredible.
Thank you. This was not for the church, so thank you for mentioning that. The rest of the church
they all got Krispy Kreme donuts.
A very small percentage of people got to enjoy that.
Come join a ministry and serve, and you can.
Thank you for mentioning what the choir got to enjoy.
No. It was people, the greeters, everybody,
and that was nice.
He made a big amount of food. It was awesome. It was a hit. We had to get people out of the green room because it was
right. They were back there wanting to eat. Yeah. So what was another favorite part of the weekend for you?
Man. Obviously, watching everybody coming together and serving was obviously an exciting time. I think last year things felt a little bit more stressful because we got in what was the week before to get set up, and then we were tearing down right afterward. But to have the prep, to have the people ready to go, to see them get together and serve, and then just to see as many guests that came through the door and hear the gospel, it's just kind of okay, this is why we did it.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be
seeing how many 2 packed services. I mean, literally the first service, I don't know if there was a couple of chairs. I mean, honestly, we had the loft area was packed with people. The seats were all packed. Second service, very, very full. And so that was neat. Of course, we put a bunch of extra chairs out for this week. I don't think we could have got many more chairs in there, could we?
We used all our fabric chairs, so
Did
we'd
we?
be putting down the plastics, but
Yeah,
we're pushing
right.
close to 350 chairs in the worship center.
In the worship center, not including all the kids and that kind of thing
Correct.
too. So,
Speaking of items in the auditorium, that screen made a massive difference this year.
it did. Yeah, yeah. The
I
screen was
remember
nice
last
for the
year we
video.
were looking at the TV.
Yeah,
You could
the
hardly see it. It
projectors.
was hard
Yeah,
to see.
yeah,
But
yeah.
seeing the choir stand in front of that screen and then
Mm-hmm.
it was just really cool.
Yeah,
It was
made a
really
big
powerful.
difference. Okay, you guys haven't mentioned it, but I think maybe my favorite part of the weekend, I loved the Good Friday service. There's just something about the church coming together. We had a lot of guests for it, for sure, but it was just a little bit more of a somber, traditional remembrance of what Jesus. We had communion, of course, on Friday evening. I thought that was a really special. Have you guys ever been to a Good Friday service before?
Once.
One time. I've never been to one before. That was the first Good Friday service I've ever been to, and I just thought that was really special. It kind of made me think of the Christmas Eve service. Obviously, you're totally celebrating a different aspect, but it reminded me of the feel of that. Did you enjoy the Good Friday?
Oh, sure. I mean, I felt like I was running around most of the time, but I mean, at the same time, it was just again, with my responsibilities, getting the people together, just watching everybody serving. Again, I think I can't say it enough. It's just kind of that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
seeing them serve together. And again, you talk about the church. The church is the body of Christ, right? And everybody has their role. Everyone has a position that they're supposed to fill. And just watching people do their responsibilities or getting into serving and enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's you see Bill when you walk in the door. You see Jeremy. You see these friendly faces who are just excited when people are coming through. It just again,
and not just them. We've actually moved into such a good. You've got Kelvin when you walk in there.
Yeah.
You've got both Lynn Miller, Lynn Holland. You've got so many people that have really taken on an ownership of
people
different
who are buying
areas.
in.
Yes.
I think that's the exciting part, where you have like, okay, I'm able to step back more and more as I'm watching these people jump in, and it's, although I might be running around, it's more just even oversight. Okay, just making sure that they have everything that they need.
Yeah.
But seeing them serving excitedly, doing what they're doing, it's awesome to see.
Yeah, it has been fun to see. Okay, I've got one more favorite thing of the weekend highlight. The chicks were amazing. Weren't those fun? We had these little chicks for the photo backdrop, and I cannot tell you how many kids mentioned that, or how many parents mentioned how much they enjoyed that. The Mocs, of course, brought those chicks. Debbie and Noel did the backdrop for us this year. Did a great job for that. I've actually had pastors reach out to me and say, "Hey, what'd you guys do with those chicks? Where'd you get those chicks?" And we're doing chicks next year. I made the mistake of opening up your recap in front of my kids, and now we have to do chicks next year. But I thought those were really a lot of fun too. Did you get a picture with a chick, Christian?
I did not get a picture of Chick. I got a picture of Trent holding the baskets. It was hilarious.
You did?
Yeah, he's running out right before the service.
With baskets
But no,
of chicks?
they worked hard to get those chicks there. I don't know if
Yeah.
she told you the story. They had to send in one family member at a time because you can only get, because of the
You only get
the
so many.
shortage, I guess, of
Right.
chicks right now.
Right. Tariffs.
Yeah,
It's affecting everything.
can't even buy a chick. No, but they that's where it hit. The kids loved them.
So Christian didn't get any pictures.
No, I was
with any chicks this year.
I did not get a picture with any chicks this year.
Another single Easter, huh?
Another single Easter. It's my Easter tradition.
Maybe next year.
Maybe.
Oh, anything you would have changed from this year?
That's a tough question.
Is that a tough question?
I mean, it's hard because it's, there's, you always want it to be like the dream side in me and the musical side in me, and like putting on the production we want to put on. You want it to be the biggest it can possibly be, but at the end of the day, you can't beat the topic of the resurrection.
right,
Whatever
right,
you do is going to be.
Yeah.
If it's pointing towards what Jesus has done, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I think you can lean a little too hard on the production side of things. I did love the simpler setup this year. Even the Good Friday service, I think going back to that was my favorite part of the weekend because it was so simple. I mean, we just had the piano playing up there on stage, just singing. It was so simple. There wasn't a ton of pressure that everything had to go right and all these kind of things.
It was simple, but it was different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was. I saw a lot of people that they know the story, but they're still locked in just based off of, oh, we're going to see this from Death's perspective. And so that was kind of neat to see, just kind of looking around, and everyone's still kind of pretty enthralled with the story, even though it's a familiar story.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
We need more animals.
Yeah, that's what helped us at Christmas Eve.
It's been a hit. I think we went to the outlets the other day and took Connor to an Easter thing. And they just had this whole row of animals, little ponies, little cow, little all these. I was like, this would be awesome. I don't know how this fits in Easter, but I guess
I was just going to ask you.
I guess Jesus rode a donkey, so we can do
donkey
donkey rides.
Yeah, right. That's that would have been the Good Friday people have them shuttle over from the North Peninsula over on a donkey or something.
Yeah, ride through Bethlehem
on the way down. Well, I thought we had a great weekend. I thought we had a lot of people did a lot of work to get it done. We had a lot of guests with us as well. So I thought it was good. I thought it was a really good weekend. I'm praying now, and by the way, I guess we should talk about this for just a minute. How can people, we want to move forward with our guests, right? We want to have good retention. We want to be able to reach these people. Our church is going to follow up. I mean, we've got as many, as much info as we could get from as many as it would give it. We'll make calls. They'll get a box this week. They'll get something from us in the mail. How can our church be involved this week in doing their part in trying to get people to come back and be comfortable at our church?
I'd say for anyone who's made a connection with the guests this last week, when you see them, if they come this next Sunday, really just to go out of your way to hopefully, one, remember their name, and then two, just making them feel welcome. I mean, Easter's a big Sunday. You're going to have so many guests there, and I know that's going to be difficult, but maybe for the one or two that you really had maybe a personal conversation with to make sure that they felt remembered, I think would be a big one. And so, again, as they're returning, just remembering the hospitality side of being a church member and making sure people are feeling welcome when they return.
Well, I think that's super important the week after Easter, because there is a thinking for guests, is this really who they are? That can often, because churches put on a bigger, just a bigger, they just do on Easter Sunday. And so are they really this friendly? Are they really this loving? Are they really this professional? Or, whatever it is that got them, making sure that's really who we are, I think is huge. Don't just be friendly because it's Easter Sunday. Be friendly because that's who our church is. And I believe it is.
Yeah. And I would say if you invited somebody this week and they came and were with you, follow up with them this week. And hey, really good to have you. Hope you enjoyed the service. Get their feedback. Talk to them about it. Invite them back again this weekend. This weekend, we're going to be talking about gender identity. And we've been going through that trending series, and that's important. We've got that HB 251312 bill coming out right now in Colorado. And so that's a pretty big deal too right now. And so just inviting them back and encouraging them to be a part. I got a seat for you. Let's grab lunch afterwards. So if you invited somebody and they arrived and they came and they were there at the service, invite them back again. Check in with them.
It's amazing how those little things that you just said, you don't think much of them when you've been at a church for a while, when you know everyone. But just a couple examples, there's been some people that have been sick or they've been traveling, and so I've reached out to them this past week, and their response was, "Thank you so much for texting me." And I was like, well, you didn't think much of it in doing so, but just the fact that they were known, the fact that somebody was thinking of them, that's such a lost art in our world today. I think it's a very powerful tool in the church.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks, guys, for all the work that went into this weekend. I thought it was a great Easter. I think the people that came to it. But by the way, to your point about putting on a big production for Easter only, I think it was nice that Good Friday was so simple. That's who we are. But then Sunday wasn't so overproduced that they wouldn't come in this next Sunday and feel that it was incredibly different. Obviously, we had video and that kind of thing that we wouldn't normally have. That was really nice, but it wouldn't feel
those are all songs we would sing.
Yeah, it was songs that we sang. It was things that we do. And so I think actually they would come in this weekend and actually feel at home and not out of the element of what we did this last weekend as well. So I would encourage our church to pray for those that were just there. You don't want to just see them one week and you do a lot of work to get people out one week. You really want to see life change. And so I think that would be important for us this week as well. But
one more plug. I got to put a plug in.
Let's hear it.
We want to see our choir grow. We use them for all these events and things like that. And we have a good size, but we kind of been sitting there for a while. We'd love to see it really take off, and it's a great ministry to be a part of. First impressions. I think you saw. Okay, there's places to get plugged in this week too for our church.
Yeah, no doubt.
If you're looking for them.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Castleview, thank you for joining us on this week's podcast, and thanks for all the work that you put in for this past Easter. So many good things took place, and you pray with us now that we'll be able to steward these individuals well, and that we would see them come back and begin to grow in their relationship with the Lord. Hey, thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next week again on the Castleview Baptist Church podcast.